Hey, vinyl community, it's Greg from Three Dimensions of Music. I wanted to share with you my finds from late October. Nothing from this week. I've been kind of hanging on to stuff and putting it all together. It's not a lot, but it's some CDs and albums, and I appreciate everyone that watches, especially everyone that comments, gives me tips, corrects my mistakes, things like that. Let me get real quick into it. As far as CDs go, this is a box set that I got. Never heard of them, but the fellow that I usually get CDs off of had it sitting there off to the side with the other box sets. And this one was kind of interesting. It's called The Ruts. They're out of England. I believe it's a post-punk band, I guess they call it. But it actually has five. There's a nice booklet that comes with it. Everything was there. I believe it's a post-punk band. Some of you may have heard of it, especially Steve Carlson, because he loves a lot of punk, so he might be familiar with it. No, I said five albums, actually four. Their first four, I believe. First one is At the BBC, and I've listened to some of this, but not a lot of it yet, but because I just got it. This is called Marquee, Live at the Marquee, so a lot of live stuff too, which is great. I love live stuff. I believe this is called $3.99. If anybody's heard of this, Vinyl Richie out in California too. He may be familiar with these guys. I'm not sure. Sometimes he checks in on me, which is kind of neat. This one's called Grin and Bear It. Has some bonus tracks on it. As you can see, hopefully you can read that. But that's called The Ruts, which is kind of neat. And it was $5. No, $3. Yeah, $3. Because usually his CDs are $2 each, or if it's a box set, he might go up to $3. So that was in really good shape. The Ruts, as you can see, the four albums on there. Next one up, and this is a shout out to Rod the Happy Hippie, because he got me started on this guy, and I found three of them in a row from, I guess, somebody's collection that they had, all in very good shape. Everybody's probably heard of this guy, Steve Earle. And I got three from Steve Earle. First Steve Earle's I had in my collection. This is called Transcendental Blues, Steve Earle. And I do like this guy. I'm very favorable to his music. So thank you, Rod, the Happy Hippie. Check out his channel. He's almost at 1,000, really close, if not over by now. Well deserved. He's a really chill, laid back guy in Tennessee. This particular Steve Earle is Washington Square Serenade. Yes. And these are all in really good shape. So I was kind of happy to pick these up. The last Steve Earle that is named I Feel All Right. And very nice, nicely done, nice artwork. And I'm enjoying Steve Earle. Let's see, next one. Let's see if I can bring these up closer. Lady had this for sale out at the flea market for $1. It's a 3 CD set of David Bowie. It's called Platinum Collection, David Bowie. It basically goes from the early years to his later years. The only caveat to this was it was missing the first one, Gene Genie, Space Oddity, Starman, Ziggy Stardust. I think I have it on another CD. It's a lot of those songs, but they put a lot of songs on there from each CD. And each of them is for a certain amount of years of his. David Bowie has a great big catalog of songs, as you can see. So it was missing one CD, but for $1, I just said, well, it's 2 CDs for $1, it's 50 cents a piece. Now this is 74 to 79, and the other one is 1980 to 87. So you can just, I think it's probably pre-74, probably 60s and 74. That'd have been the first CD. So pretty cool. So I don't have a lot of Bowie in my collection other than the CDs that I've been showing. I do have a live Bowie vinyl, but I'm just getting into him, believe it or not, at my ripe age of 64, and getting more and more into David Bowie. And that really comes from Glenn down in the basement up in Canada. He's a big Bowie fan after getting all his stuff, and he kind of got my interest in the Bowie, so when I see him, I pick him up. Dropping a lot of names here. Next one I got, everybody's familiar with Dinah Krall, the best of Dinah Krall. So I pick hers up for $1. when I can. Nice female singer. I've seen her with Robert Plant. Did a really nice job. She got a great voice. This one, Steve Carlson showed. I'm dropping another name here. Jane's Addiction. He showed the vinyl on this. Finding the vinyl is really cool, but I got it on a CD. There's a lot of times I can't find the stuff in vinyl. They're hard to pick out unless unless you get them off Discogs or wherever. And I just buy my music where I find it. I don't go out and look for it. It finds me. So Jane's Addiction, and I'm really digging Jane's Addiction. I have a couple of one other CD, I believe, and that started me off on this. And when I seen this, and I like this one too. This is pretty good. This one's called Nothing's Shocking. Nothing's Shocking. Puts a great cover on there. Girls with their hairs on fire. Another one I wasn't familiar with, but I picked up. Jack Johnson in concert. Now I was thinking of Eric Johnson. There's another Johnson. There's quite a few Johnsons out there that do a lot of singing and stuff. But I was looking at it, and the guy standing next to me says, "Well, who's that?" And I says, "Well, it's Jack Johnson. Don't you know?" And he wasn't familiar with him, and I wasn't either. He's more of a folk singer, but I looked at this fold out, and I said, "Well, if he's got a concert with that many people, for $1, it can't be that bad." And it's pretty good. I like it. Live concert, Jack Johnson. A lot of good songs on there. Banana Pancakes, Do You Remember? Sleep Through the Static, Bubble Toes. When they do live concerts, I'm a sucker for live concerts because they do a lot of songs. See where I'm holding that up at. Okay, next one, Sealed. The Rippingtons, Moonlighting, GRP. I always pick this up when I can because they're usually digital masters, and this is a digital master. So if you're going to get a CD, digital master is the way to go, unless you find an SACD or a gold one, which you never do. But this is an unopened Rippington, so it's going to go to my unopened pile that I've been collecting, finding them out. Another new band that I found from a channel that I can't remember their name because they're new. I believe it's a husband and wife or a husband and partner. NRBQ. This fellow he's a big fan of NRBQ, and I can't remember their channel name, and I'm sorry about that because there's so many floating around in my head. But they're a cute couple. They're getting more and more comfortable in front of the camera, and they're fun to watch. And they do little skits sometimes before their videos. So this fellow likes NRBQ, and I tried this one out, and I like it. A lot different to what I'm used to, but that's what this is all about. So NRBQ, and I believe this is called Wild Weekend. So there you go on that one. And I picked up another John Hyatt, Perfectly Good Guitar. Normally I don't seek out John Hyatt, but I found a live on his, John Hyatt Live, and it was really, really entertaining. So I picked up his, for $1 you can't turn it down. I think that covers the CDs. Oh, no. As the old goat would say, wait, there's more. I got a Rolling Stones Flashpoint for $1. Never seen this one before. It's called Live. It looks like it's foreign there, like maybe Chinese or Japanese. But I think it was made in the USA though. But anyways, it's from the recorded live 89-90 Steel Wheels Urban Jungle World Tour. Now we had the Steel Wheels come through Pittsburgh, but I did not see them at the time. So I wasn't a big Stones fan at the time. But boy, have I been collecting the Stones CDs and albums. Rage Against the Machine, Renegades, real anti-war. What am I doing here? Showing you the side. I'm not sure where this ranks in their discography, but once in a while I'm in the mood for Rage Against the Machine, especially lately. All right, let's see. I'll save this one for last. Next one is XTC. Found this for $1. Oranges and Lemons. So this is my first XTC in the collection. I've heard so much about them watching you guys out in the VC universe. Another one I found, which was a nice find for $1, Susan Tedeschi, Just Won't Burn. Now, Susan Tedeschi has been around a long time, for 20, 25 years. And she actually married Derek Trucks from the Derek Trucks band. And Derek Trucks has a history with the Allman Brothers. At the young age of 13, he debuted and played a blues a blues rendition of Layla with the Allman Brothers when he was 13 years old using the slide. And I'm going to try to link that YouTube video of that performance when he was 13. This is Derek Trucks, not Susan Tedeschi. But what struck me was I don't normally see Susan Tedeschi out in the wild. I like her singing, especially with the truck Tedeschi Trucks or Trucks Tedeschi band, because it used to be Susan Tedeschi with her band. Derek Trucks band was way back when, and in the early, I believe prior to 2000s. Then these two got married in 2001, and the rest is history. They've been together ever since. They have a couple of kids. They're very talented together. It's like putting two wonderful people together and making wonderful music. And just to prove it, a little bit of context. This would be kind of like a, I guess I would call this a collection highlight. I haven't really never shown parts of my collection on these videos, and I'm going to try to do this more often as I come across something like this. But the Tedeschi Trucks band I'm a big fan of. So that CD was very good with Susan Tedeschi. Great singing on it when she was younger, I think in the late 1990s. But this is an EP I got from Record Store Day a few years back. There's about 5 songs on here. And the one song on here is a live recording of Shame, and it's a really great song. So this particular recording of this Tedeschi Trucks band called High and Mighty. He's got a lot of custom labels. They make nice recordings, very nice sounding recordings. And Derek Trucks is like a slide guitar blues. It's mostly blues, and when they get together, it's just a great time. Tedeschi Trucks band's live from the Fox in Oakland. I'm sure that some of the VC channels out in California probably saw this very concert at the time it showed, but it's a 3-disc set, and it's just great from beginning to end. It's a lot of blues rock, and they're together, and it's a great band. It's like a full band, horns, because that's the thing about Derek Trucks band. He loved having horns. He loved having a lot of people contributing to his songs that he wrote and covered. So this is a 3-disc set. I'm not going to take all 3 discs out, but what's cool about it is the fold out, if I remember right. There's a lot of good stuff in here, as you can see. Kind of feel like Jamie Cottle in a way, because he's always doing this and he's so adept at it. But it's a great fold out, great graphics of this particular concert. That's number 2. Now they have a lot of albums out, but I don't have them all, but I have about 5. This is called Road Songs, and I believe these are a lot of covers that they did. It's a 2-album set. Derek Trucks band Road Song. Now this is not the Tedeschi Derek Trucks, the Tedeschi Trucks. So they call it the Tedeschi, which is her last name, and she maintains that. So now they have the Tedeschi Trucks band. This was actually before he met her. So they kind of have separate ones where they. Now this is the one called Made Up Mind. Is that a cool cover or what? That Bison and that Locomotive, Made Up Mind. Yeah, that about says it today, doesn't it? Let's see. Nice labels. And let's see, got one more to show you that I have. Tedeschi Trucks band, Let Me Get By. Really nice record. You can see the custom labels again. They do a very nice job with their albums. I would highly recommend them if you like blues. Not strictly blues, but just slide guitar type playing, and her singing. I mean, it's marriage made in heaven. Obviously, they're married. This last CD, real quick, a very big surprise. I love going out looking for CDs and finding oddballs like this. This is called Oz Live. Now, this fella's name is Oz. His last name is Oz, not to be confused with the Oz that's running for senator in Pennsylvania. But this fella has been a guitarist, a session guitarist, and a very accomplished guitarist out of New York City. And he plays down in New York, and he's played many times. I forget his first name. Let me see if I can get that for you, because I know friends up in New York probably know this fella. I don't even know if I show his first name, but it's something Oz. Anyways, you can look it up, fellas. He's a guitarist out of New York City, Oz Noy. I think his first name's Oz, and then Noy is his last name, Oz Noy. Anyways, jazz fusion, excellent CD for $1. I couldn't believe it. I gave it a shot, and I'm very glad I got it. I've got a few CDs like that, which were big surprises for me. Oz Noy, N-O-Y, is his last name. Oz is his first name, and he's not a doctor. As far as records go, oh, there was one more here from last week. Don't let me forget this. CD box set, The Who, 30 years of maximum R&B, $2. $2 for this, 4 CDs. This guy had it sitting under a table. My wife spotted it again. She's always spotting it. It still has the book with all the great stuff about The Who in there. A lot of stuff on this in this little booklet. These box sets are so cool. And the only drawback on this was 2 of the CDs, there was like a thin, these were in thin membranes, these 2 CDs. They were all there, but I had to make 2 boxes. And I don't know how to make the covers for CDs. I watched Steve up in New Hampshire. He's made it look easy, but he knows how to do it. I'm trying to draw a blank on Steve's. He rescues vinyl. Oh, vinyl something. I can't remember. This is why I don't like making videos, because my mental regression is going to be forever documented online. So this is why I hesitate to do this stuff. But anyways, I jest. Here's 2 that had the covers. The CDs are in there. And I thought it was a great find for $2. I've got plenty of Who, but I'm not going to turn this down for $2. 30 years of maximum rhythm and blues. And the songs on there, just holy smokes. It'll take me another 10 years to get after this one. But hey, awesome stuff. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, real quick, the vinyl that I found in the past couple weeks. These were all these ones here were $5 each. The guy had a small collection among tools and you name it, everything that he had in his truck at the flea market. A box of records, and sometimes you find gems, right? So he wouldn't come down for $5, but these were all his records. These are all pretty good shape. James Gang, Your Album, Blues Way. I was hoping he'd go $4 a record, like 5 for 20, but he wouldn't budge. And I said, well, for $5 each, the covers are in pretty good shape. The records are in very good shape. And that is, I like the James Gang, I like Joe Walsh, Your Album. And this has that one song on here. Funk 48, everybody knows that one, which is probably the most common one. Funk number 48. Next album up in this stack, Uriah Heep, Salisbury. I always see people showing this. I'm so jealous because I can never find it. I finally found it in really good shape. Everybody's familiar with Uriah Heep. This helps close a hole in my collection for Uriah Heep. Next one, a big, I might do a collection or not an update, but a collection highlight for this guy. One of my favorites, Brian Auger Band. This is called Genesis. It's a great album. I was really surprised. Actually, I got another Brian Auger, Family Affair. It was really good too. I think I showed that previous video. This one's called In the Trinity, featuring Julie Driscoll. She joins him on a lot of his albums too. I love Brian Auger though, just absolutely love him. Organist. Probably I'd call it jazz fusion or somewhat variation of that. Another one that was so funny, the day that I watched Stoner Stash Box, another name drop. Stoner, hi. You showed this, you found this. I said, oh man, I've been looking for that Great Fatsby, I'd never see it. And then that next day I went to the flea market. This guy had the Great Fatsby. I just couldn't believe it. I told Stoner in the comments, I said, you won't believe it, I found it. Great Fatsby. I love Leslie West. Honestly, he's just great. Okay, lastly, this was a weird find, but I got it for it's a double album, but it's $5. Pete Townshend, Scoop, from The Who. Now, from what I understand, these are on Atco, as you can see. Really, these are in really prime shape, like they've probably been played once. And what these are demos and his thoughts on a lot of songs before he joined The Who. So he made this right before they got together with The Who and made all these songs, but he had all these songs stacked up that he wanted to do. And put it out there for the guys, Roger Daltrey and Keith Moon and those guys, and they made all these. These are like a lot of. There's a lot of songs. They're not very long. Some of them are only a minute. Some of them are only 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Not much more than 3 minutes. But as you can see if I can get this without a glare. These are all the songs that he was thinking that he wanted to do with the Who. So I thought that was a pretty cool find for $5 and in really nice condition. And actually, I went on Amazon, and this thing's going for $90, but and it's used, which is weird. I guess that you can't go by that though, and I don't really go by Discogs. I just, like I said, I just buy them when I see them. They find me. I don't find them. So, anyways, I got that. Let's see. The next stack was. These were $1.25 a piece. Okay, my first one in my collection, Randy Newman, "Sail Away," which I understand this is one of his more popular albums. You can tell me if it's not. I knew who Randy Newman was, but I really never had any of his stuff. So this is the first entry in my collection for Randy Newman, "Sail Away." Next one, another one I always salivate over. People get, and I could never find in good condition. Well, this one's pretty decent condition. Salty Dog, Procol Harum, goes without saying. Little Robin Trower, where he started out with a few others, Gary Brooker, but everybody likes this that likes Procol Harum. So I finally got it. Next one. Now I understand this one's a rare one too, but I'm not sure how rare. Bonnie and Delaney, a very popular album they did called "Accept No Substitutes," and this one was a kind of a surprise, being in that this box that these albums were in that I'm showing you now, these 4 or 5 albums, most of them were Goodwill garbage, but just going through, I picked out the ones that I thought that would be appealing to me. I'm familiar with Bonnie and Delaney because of Eric Clapton's background, and that's where he started out. These guys, I guess, really not just Eric Clapton, but Neil Young, Bob Dylan. There's a few other notables that these people's, Bonnie and Delaney, provided. I'm looking for the word now. See what I said about documenting? Provided the impetus, to get those people to play music. Okay, last one, Friends. Now, what is this, right? I'm looking at it, and then I looked at the back, and I'm looking at the back. This is a compilation, and that's what they're called. But on here, we got Cat Stevens, Quincy Jones, Free, Spooky Tooth, Humble Pie, Bloodwind Pig, all these different songs. Bloodwind Pig is Drive Me. Humble Pie is Trouser Snake Rumba. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot for $1.25, and it's actually in pretty good shape. A&M. It's called Friends. So they put a lot of songs together from these people and called it Friends. Lastly, I want to do a shout out to a fellow I met a week and a half ago, and some of you have probably seen the video, Tony Perla from the House of Perla in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. I'm in Pittsburgh. I was saving up a lot of VCLT for Tony because he was close, and I was going to mail it to him, and it stack got about this big. I says, you know what, Tony, let's meet up. It's easier. He drove halfway, I drove halfway, because I was going to be in the area, not his area, but we were both close enough to meet in the middle. And I got all this stuff for Tony that I was saving, and I just do that. I find albums that need saved. They're in pretty good shape. They're not the brand new, really, but I don't really get the scratched or the scuffed albums. I try to look for good ones, but if I get something, and I don't have an inventory of my albums as far as other than what's in my head, which I'm slowly losing, I guess. But I've got so many CDs lately that I pick up CDs and I have doubles, or I have albums and I get doubles. Sometimes I know I'm getting doubles, but it's such a great shape and it's $1 or it's 50 cents. I get it just to know that I'll give it away sometime. So I was saving Tony all this stuff because he's the closest guy that I know lives to me. Although there's a guy in Pittsburgh, JBL 100, that he doesn't really put out any videos, but I'm getting comfortable, sending him messages on Rachel, the Ghost. We get back and forth because it's neat to say hi to people there and say hi to Rachel. Anyways, I'm going off to course here. Me and Tony met. It was everything I expected. Tony's such a great guy. Everything you see on the videos, that's Tony, uh, through and through. He's a good-hearted guy, and I gave him all the VCLT, and then we went into a half-price books. And I normally don't go into half-price books because most of the time in my area there's not a lot of records. Few what there are there, it's mostly books. But this particular half-price books, I couldn't believe it. There was a lot of records, a lot of CDs, a lot of books and stuff. So we were looking through and doing some digging. And Tony, when I went up to the cash register, he was nice enough that he bought. Oh, geez, where did I put that record? I picked up a few things, and Tony says, "Allow me," and I never expected that, but I didn't turn him down. And he bought this for me at the half price books. I mean, it wasn't real expensive or anything, but I've been looking for this Diodato too. I have the other Diodato, but don't have this one. And I've seen him show this on some of the channels, and people really liked it. I like jazz fusion, and that's basically what this is with a Latin flair. I like Diodato, so I picked that up. CTI, got a lot of CTI albums in my collection. So Diodato 2, and what was interesting about this was some of the people that was with Diodato. I mean, it almost looks like he had an orchestra. I mean, there's a ton of people on here, but some of the notables that I recognized was, of course, Diodato, Stanley Clarke, John Galino, Billy Cobham, let's see, John Tropia, a guitar, John Faddis, a flugelhorn. Let's see how there's so many that I recognize. Hubert Laws on flute because I have some Hubert Laws, and that's kind of like how I bought my records back in the day. All these different people were on these albums, so I saw Hubert Laws. I liked what he was doing on the album. I go after Hubert Laws and look for his stuff. So I built my collection up over the years just by doing that. So I picked up this, and the other thing I was pretty excited about, and probably a lot of people don't get too excited about these guys, but I like the Grateful Dead, jam bands like the Grateful Dead, Little Feat, bands that just can really, especially live, can do a great job with music. This particular box set was up there for $20, and I'm looking at it, and I love Fish. I especially love them live. A lot of people could take them or leave them, I guess, because they kind of meander with their songs. But I kind of like that. That's the way Grateful Dead is. Fish is kind of like the same way. So I'm looking at this, and I said, "Oh wow, this looks great." And it's a concert in Hampton, Virginia. It's called Hampton Comes Alive. And at first I'm looking at it saying, that's kind of weird. They have a big old thick part of this, and there's only 3 discs. Why would they make it so thick? So still silly me, I go up to the counter and not knowing, but here's 3 discs, and these are like 70-minute discs, these different parts. This is a full concert for 2 days, the whole concert for 2 days. All right, and they did different songs for both concerts, not all different, but different versions, because you know how that is when bands play live. It's never the same thing twice. He turns it around. He said, "Did you check the other side? There's 3 more." So there's 6 discs in there for $20. What, I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there going, "Oh God, there's 3 more in there! Holy smoke!" So I'm checking them out. They're all in perfect condition. These are just pictures of the venue. Basically, nothing special, but the music is special. A lot of great jams. Just you put this on and you just kind of just melt away. I love it. Hampton Comes Alive. Another box set to go to the collection. Hey guys, that'll cover it. I appreciate it if you stuck with me. Did a few shout outs, well deserved. Hey, one thing, if you saw my last video with the mask, real quick, I want to say it was a success. It was my first Halloween wearing the mask, giving out the candy, watching the kids try. I felt like I was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy because they did not want to come up to my porch, a lot of them. And it was so funny because the parents were standing on the sidewalk and the little kids were standing there going, "I don't want to go up there," and I'm handing. But as soon as they saw the candy in the bowl, they made a beeline. They didn't care what I looked like. So it was just so funny. There was only 1 or 2 that refused to go up to see me until their parents took them up, and and I cheered them up when I said Happy Halloween and all that stuff. But it was fun doing that with the kids, and I think the parents appreciated it too. But anyways, take a look back, last video or so, the 5 covers, 5 creepy album covers is what it's called. I did it for Chris Prophy, which is another valuable member of the. Shout out Chris Prophy. Look him up. Prophe. Prophy. Yes. Look him up. He's a great channel. Almost 2,000 subs, I think now. Well deserved. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you watching. Take care, and hopefully everything's going to smooth for this election. Bye bye.